On the news, health authorities raise alarm over community transmission as COVID-19 totals surge to 238. Presidential task force inspects Lagos isolation centers, commend state government. And Japan declares state of emergency over growing COVID-19 cases. A warm welcome to News Now. I am Fidelia Agoncha. Local transmission of COVID-19 in Nigeria is on the rise. This is according to Akin Abayomi, Lagos State Commissioner for Health. Abayomi at a press briefing on Monday explained that as at week 4, 82% of the COVID-19 cases were imported into the country. He, however, noted that the following week, 45% of the patients had no travel history, an indication that local transmission was on the rise. Nigeria currently has 238 confirmed COVID-19 cases across 15 states, including the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. Lagos is the worst affected state with 120 confirmed cases, out of which 29 have recovered and have been discharged. Kwara is the latest state to be affected in the pandemic. Meanwhile, Lagos State government has appealed to residents to desist from calling the COVID-19 emergency lines for fun. Health Commissioner Akin Abayomi said this while addressing journalists on the update on the state's response to the pandemic. The commissioner revealed that the state helpline has received thousands of hoax calls in just a little over 2 weeks. He added that such behavior is distracting for operators managing the helpline and also preventing persons with genuine reasons from accessing the call center.
80% of the calls we receive to Corona, 8,000 Corona or 8,000 Corona, are hoax calls. People calling in to test the number, people calling in to make pranks, people calling in with aggressive language. The 80% of calls are blocking our call center lines and unfortunately making it difficult for the people that really need help to get through. I'd like to use this opportunity to appeal to Lagosians or anybody else that's trying to use those numbers. This is a matter of state and national security. The Lagos State government is trying its best to open up its channels to the community. If you phone us for fun or for pranks or to insult our staff, you are actually doing a disservice to the people that actually need help.
Also addressing the support for healthcare workers exposed to hazards that put them at risk of infection, Abayomi revealed that the state government has developed both financial and psychosocial incentives for all medical staff at the front line of COVID-19 response in the state.
Mr. Governor, the incident commander is in complete control of the incentive packages to healthcare professionals and allied professionals that are involved in the control of COVID-19. Attention has been paid to accommodation, to feeding, to transportation, to hazard allowances, and to special insurance packages. In addition, we are beginning to roll out psychosocial support to all our staff, as our staff are operating under very arduous conditions, very long hours, under a lot of stress. There's a lot of attention that needs to be provided to patients with COVID-19 and to their family members who are obviously and understandably very anxious about the situation.
The Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 on Tuesday paid a visit to the COVID-19 isolation and treatment centers in Lagos State. The 12-man delegation, led by Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, inspected the isolation facilities in Yaba, Unikon and Bagada. Following the inspection, Mustafa expressed satisfaction with a world-class facility set up by the state government to combat the COVID-19 pandemic. He also asked residents in Lagos to maintain social distancing and report any case of COVID-19 to the NCDC. The task force is expected to hold a press briefing at the Government House in Marina very soon. Well, in line with the new guidelines on the operations of markets issued by the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, markets in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, will now operate 3 times in a week. The new guideline says only shops and stores selling food and groceries shall be allowed to open to customers between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays. The development is part of measures put in place to limit further spread of COVID-19 in the country. Market managers and the FCT Police Command have been directed to ensure compliance with this directive by monitoring all entry and exit points of the various markets as well as activities of the traders. Well, to stop further spread of the COVID-19 pandemic, Nigerians are learning to work in new ways. Telecommuting is the new normal for non-essential service workers who now work remotely from home amid lockdown orders and restrictions in major states. Using unique applications, some schools in Lagos State have found a way to ensure learning is not disrupted by the pandemic. We have more in this next report.
On a normal Tuesday morning in Lagos, this road would have been filled with vehicles and the sidewalk with people all rushing to get to their various places of work. But these are not normal times for Lagosians, since the federal government ordered a lockdown as a measure to prevent further spread of the COVID-19 pandemic. Non-essential service staff had to work remotely from home. But how are they getting along with this new trend? Let's find out.
3 weeks ago, teaching for these primary school instructors only took place within the 4 walls of a physical classroom. But all that has changed. No thanks to the COVID-19 pandemic, all teaching and learning activities now happens remotely, with instructors and pupils connecting via virtual classrooms like this one.
Hello everyone. I am active if you are active. Active.
Introduce the class activity to them. Once you introduce the class activity to them, you talk about what you're going to do for that day. After that discussion, they tell you if they have any question or if they have understood what you have just told them. If they understood what you told them, then you can just give them maybe home activity to work with at home so that they don't just remain idle or they just be at home and doing nothing. So you give them home activities, okay, work with this, and when you are done, you can just take a camera, snap it, then you send it back to the platform. Once they have done that, you can get it from the platform and you can do your marking. And once you're done with your marking, you can just post it online and you can see their scores from there.
Using unique mobile and desktop applications, activities in the virtual classroom is almost no different from that of a physical one.
The classroom management app, that app, it affects everything in the classroom. Even parents can comment. The platform has a room for marking attendance. So we also appraise it. Normal stars you give to a child, wow, motivational stars. Okay, wow, you're doing great. We also do that in our classroom, just like a normal classroom setting. There's a timetable set for every class, normal classroom activities. Every class have a timetable. I as an instructor of ICT, I know the time for my class.
Telecommuting is not new in the education sector, but such channel for early learning is quite rare, especially in Nigeria. Through these medium, Adebayo and his school hopes to keep the students active until things return to normal.
It's not like the school has closed before we had this pandemic. We were preparing for our exams. So for them to be at home now, anytime from now, maybe when the lockdown is called off, they will be coming into school to start their exams. So if they are kept at home idle, once they are coming back into the system, maybe 70-80% we have nothing upstairs again, because all they will have on their head is play, eat, and sleep. So that is why my school thinks, okay, let's keep this platform so that while they are at home, they can have something doing. They can have something keeping them busy. Even we are planning on having our timetable for our examination being drafted out so that we can give it to them, so that, okay, once we are back into school, we are going for our examination, and they can have a way they are planning ahead before they start the exams.
But this style of learning is not without its fair share of challenges.
Imagine you have a job to deliver. There is no electricity for you to get your gadgets ready for those jobs to be delivered. And apart from the what is it called, the electricity, the data as well. The data we spend on the internet is very high. For a minimum of, when I just started recently, within a week I spent nothing less than 10 gig. Yesterday I calculated my data on my phone, nothing less than 24 gig is being used on the internet just to make sure that the classroom are going on and most of these things are working perfectly, and following up with your normal routine activities at work. So seriously, it's not really helping us.
God's Time and Adebayo are not deterred by these impediments. In fact, they say teaching remotely should be encouraged by every school in the state. But despite their strong passion for telecommuting, both men say they are eager to begin physical interaction with their students. Fidelia Aguncha, TV360, Lagos, Nigeria. Well, the federal government's conditional cash transfer initiative is filled with fault. These are the words of Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde. Sadiya Farouk, Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, had said that the ministry had commenced cash transfer to the poorest households in the country to cushion the effect of the coronavirus pandemic. But in a radio interview on Monday, Makinde, who recently recovered from COVID-19, said he is not impressed with how the poor are identified. The governor claims that 80% of the funds meant for disbursement in the state is wasted, adding that the remaining 20% is meager and inconsequential. This is coming days after some society groups asked the federal government and the state government to release guidelines on relief materials donated to cushion the effects of the lockdown on citizens. The University of Ilorin Teaching Hospital, UITH, has suspended Alakija Salami, a senior consultant at the hospital. Salami was suspended over the controversy surrounding a COVID-19 patient who died on April 3, 2020. The hospital authorities had been accused of covering up the circumstances that led to the death of the patient, who is a UK returnee. There are reports that Salami facilitated the release of the corpse of the deceased to the family against the standard practice. But Abdurrahim Abdurrazak, the governor, had attributed the controversy surrounding the case to lack of full disclosure, which he said was a breach of protocol. At a media briefing, the governor said his administration is expecting the outcome of the internal investigation of the incident by the UITH before taking further steps. 2 cases of the disease were later confirmed in the state. One is the wife of the late UK returnee, while the second case is another UK returnee in the state. Only few Nigerians staying abroad have so far indicated interest to be evacuated over the COVID-19 pandemic. This is according to Nigeria's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Geoffrey Onyema. Onyema, who is a member of the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, says the government is still awaiting final responses from the various embassies on those willing to be brought back to the country. The government had, through the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, NIDCOM, asked citizens overseas who are willing to be evacuated to inform the foreign missions. But the cost of such trips back to the country will be borne by each individual, according to Abike Dabierewa, NIDCOM chairman. At the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 briefing in Abuja on Monday, Onyema said the embassies have been asked to forward the number of those who have indicated interest. Meanwhile, the United States has repatriated 376 of its citizens from Nigeria. As of April 5, 2020, the U.S. authorities have coordinated the repatriation of 43,116 Americans from 78 countries. We'll take a break here and return with more stories. Stay with us. Welcome back. Let's now tune into the Presidential Task Force briefing at Marina in Lagos.
Physically challenged, the elderly and vulnerable. Mr. President approved the release of 70,000 metric tons of grains from the specific grains reserve. Out of this, about 6,800 metric tons will be distributed in Lagos, Ogun, and the Federal Capital Territory, while the rest will be distributed to the 13 frontline states that have recorded cases of the COVID-19 disease. I assure you that the distribution of Lagos State shall commence shortly. Mr. President has similarly approved the payment of 2 months conditional cash transfer to 2.6 million poor and vulnerable already registered in the social safety net program. On behalf of Mr. President, I wish to commend the Governor of Lagos State, the people and government of Lagos State in controlling the pandemic and for putting in place isolation centers, ICU facilities, as well as establishing a wide network of contact tracing. The Commissioner for Health in Lagos State has also been serving as the chair of the Committee of Experts set up by the federal government to evaluate and accredit private medical facilities or other centers for the management of COVID-19 cases. In appreciation of all the efforts of Lagos State and the good people of the state, the burden that is carried, Mr. President approved the sum of 10 billion naira as support for fighting the virus. The federal government, in addition to the donation, approved, allocated Lagos the lion's share of the PPE, face masks, face shields, and overall gowns donated by to Nigeria by the Chinese philanthropist, Mr. Jack Ma. A few days ago, my office authorized the deployment on loan of 15 Hilux vehicles from INEC to Lagos State to support contact tracing. The cumulative effort for the control of COVID-19 in Nigeria has attracted the commendation from the United Nations Secretary General, which assures us that we are walking in the right path. The United Nations family in Nigeria has similarly launched the COVID-19 One Basket Fund, which was designed to serve as one COVID-19 financing and investment platform for mobilization of resources. Having stated the foregoing, I wish to emphasize that the nation is at war with an unseen but very potent enemy. To successfully prosecute this war, we must own it. We must participate in it. We must create awareness. We must obey rules and regulations. We must stay at home when ordered, and we must not conceal any information from the medical or disease control authorities. One person who is infected in a community can endanger the entire community regardless of its size and status or position of the people living there. Coronavirus is real and is dangerous. Let me appeal to Lagosians, indeed to all Nigerians, to play our roles in defeating this pandemic. To win the war, we must abide by instructions to stay at home, maintain social distancing, personal hygiene, and report all suspected cases to the designated health authority. Before I end my remarks, let me, at this juncture, on behalf of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari, and members of the Presidential Task Force, truly and sincerely commend the Governor and the people of Lagos State for a remarkable, resilient, and resourceful fight against the coronavirus. Your Excellency, you have done very well. We have looked at the facilities that you have put on ground. We are quite impressed, and we are completely convinced that if we can deal with the Lagos situation, 70% of this pandemic in Nigeria have been effectively dealt with. So I want to commend you, and I want to thank you for your commitment and your determination and the resolute show of leadership that you have demonstrated. I believe strongly that going forward, the things that we have discussed this afternoon, the resolutions that we have made, the suggestions that have been put in place, if implemented, Nigeria would be one country that would show to the world that with collective resolve of its people and its government and the resources and the cooperation of the international community would overcome this crisis. But let me leave you with this parting remark. The COVID-19 has not only come to ravage our health, it is also come to ravage our wealth. As a people with the Nigerian spirit, our determination as a people, I am very confident we shall overcome by the grace of God. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
James, I don't know. You need to answer your call. This. Hello.
Is this Mr. Peter? I'm calling from the NCDC. Your friend, Mr. James Okripocha, was brought in this morning and tested positive for the coronavirus. He mentioned that he had been in close contact with you.
God forbid bad thing.
Sir, I am not saying that you have the virus, but you have spent some time with him over the past 14 days and it is better if you self-isolate immediately.
I don't know any James at all. Even only James in the Bible that I know as a good Christian.
Sir, he showed us pictures.
Now, wow.
If you have come in contact with someone who has tested positive for the coronavirus, self-isolating is key to protecting those around you. Remember, viruses don't move, people do. Stopping the spread is in your hands.
This message is from the Akinfade Foundation in partnership with the National Orientation Agency with support from MacArthur Foundation.
Welcome back. And away from the COVID-19 pandemic, the Nigeria police have denied arresting the killers of Funke Olakunrin, daughter of the leader of the Pan-Yoruba socio-political organization Afenifere. Reuben Fashoranti's daughter was killed by bandits on Oreshagamo Expressway in July 2019. On Monday, National Secretary of Afenifere, Yinka Odumakin, stated that the alleged killers were arrested by the men of the Special Anti-Robbery Squad of the Ondo State Police Command. But speaking to newsmen on Tuesday, the Ondo State Police spokesperson, Tilo Ikoro, denied the arrest. He said he saw the report of the alleged arrest, but said that the entire Ondo State Police Command and the Special Anti-Robbery Squad in the state was not aware of such arrest. Paramount ruler of Yandag, Chief Don Hanil Banti, is calling out the Nigerian police and other security agencies in the state for neglecting his calls for improved security in Lao local government area of Taraba State. The monarch's calls comes as he escaped a second armed attack by armed men in the state. Banti said the attack occurred around 1 a.m. on Sunday after being attacked on September 2nd, 2019. Banti says the armed robbers invaded his compound with sophisticated weapons and were shooting sporadically until they were repelled by his guards. He said he had reported the incident to the police, but they simply said they were investigating the matter without further action. But reacting to this, police public spokesperson in Taraba State, David Misau, said the attack is yet to be reported to the command. You're still watching news now on TV360 Nigeria. We'll be right back with business stories. Don't go away. Welcome back. Let's now join Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, who is briefing the journalists at Marina currently.
The federal agencies and the federal government of Nigeria. I'm sure we all know what are the responsibility of the PTF. It's a mandate to take necessary measures at ensuring that we bring this pandemic under control as quickly as possible. It's also a high-powered political, multi-sectorial coordination mechanism which brings about inter-ministerial agency and intra-ministerial and individual agencies of the federal government together, working collaboratively to ensure that there's a seamless engagement. They're not looking for somebody, the person is not here or is not around. All of them that needs to work together are what the Mr. President has put together, and I think we need to thank him, for that. It's also a high-level coordination of all of our various United Nations agency, and so you can see WHO, you can see African Union, you can see UNICEF also working with them to ensure that we bring this to bear very quickly. It's also used as an organ to gather information, intelligence gathering, not just for COVID-19 alone, but also to be able to position our country for an event of future occurrence like this, so that they will have foolproof data that they can work with nationally. And I imagine that these are not very easy tasks that has been given to them, but I imagine they're doing it, and they're doing it very, very well. They're also used to facilitate economic national interest, which will mitigate the economic impact of the pandemic. The chairman of the PTF had explained to us that they had to take hard decisions, tough decisions, the lockdown of Lagos, Ogun, and Abuja, and he had said to us that it's not what they want to do, but for us to bring this pandemic to an immediate resolution, or to halt it, right? They needed to do what they're doing, and we're beginning to see the results of all of those initiatives and those difficult decisions that they need to take. And of course, we know that part of the assignment also is to form collaborative, effort amongst the various states. And so that's why they are here today, to see for themselves and assess not just the level of preparedness or readiness of Lagos, but really just to be able to see what are the things that they can continue to support us with. And they've gone round.
Well, that was Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu speaking on the efforts of the federal and state government in curbing further spread of the COVID-19 pandemic. Well, let's now move to business stories. Annette Felix is standing by with details. Hello, Annette.
Hello, Fidelia.
So what's the biggest story over there?
Well, the era of subsidy on petrol is gone forever. Group Managing Director of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, Mele Kyari, said this on Monday. Addressing newsmen, Kyari said that with the current fluctuations in global crude oil prices, the cost of refined products will be determined by market forces going forward. He explained that although the NNPC was not responsible for petroleum products pricing, the country was currently transiting into a market situation where the forces of demand and supply will determine the cost of premium motor spirit. In March, the federal government reduced the pump price of petrol from 145 naira per litre to 125 naira per litre. And on April 1st, the price was further reduced to 123.50 naira per litre. Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari has approved the use of the Stabilization Fund to make up for monthly allocations to the 36 states of the country. Now, this follows a sharp drop in government revenue as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, says it's become glaring that if something was not done, states would find it difficult to meet their obligations.
Our experience shows that the monthly average FAC receipts should be at an average of at least 650 billion for the federal government and the state government to meet their current obligations in a healthy manner. Unfortunately, we project that monthly receipts may decline to as low as 400 billion over the next 3 to 6 months. To address these emerging fiscal risks, the President has approved that the sum of $150 million be withdrawn from the Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority Stabilization Fund to support the June 2020 FAC disbursements. The Stabilization Fund was created for such emergencies and is to be utilized for this purpose. We are also exploring other options to augment FAC disbursements over the course of the fiscal year 2020. Mr. President has also approved that the NLNG should fast-track the disbursement of the dividend that is due to the Federation, and we're expecting these disbursements to also be used to augment FAC. Mr. President has also approved that the Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning should engage with the Central Bank of Nigeria to agree on a debt and interest moratorium for states and for the federal government on CBN-funded loans in order to create fiscal space for the states and the federation. Accordingly, once average monthly receipts fall below a specific threshold that we and the states will determine, the interest and capital repayments will be suspended till a healthy FAC is attained.
We'll be right back with stock market updates after this. Recovering from its losses yesterday, we see the Nigerian Stock Exchange holding onto large gains for the first time this week as traders became optimistic that Nigeria could soon relax its coronavirus lockdown as more funds and medical supplies pour into the country. And of course, we see here that the all-share index is gaining, making gains of 2.14%, here wrapping up at 20,925.19 basis points. Market cap here almost nearing 11 trillion naira. And here are our biggest gainers today. Leading the gainers chart is telecoms company MTN Nigeria PLC. We see it making gains of 2 naira and 8 kobo. WAPCO as well here today is making gains of just over 2 naira there. Moving on now, we see that Zenith Bank and Custodian are selling higher today by 8 and 5 kobo respectively. And our percentage laggers today is led by oil and gas firm Adova PLC, formerly called Forte Oil, and followed by Cadbury Nigeria PLC, as well as Flour Mill and BUA Cement. Now, these gains we've been talking about on the NSC today is evidenced by this chart. Volume deals skyrocketing and exceeding the market's indices yesterday. And on to the global stock markets, we see here that FTSE, Dow Jones and the Nikkei are of course leaping today. FTSE is closing by 1.84%. Dow Jones is up by 2.17%, and that's negating negative forecast given in the US, and Nikkei here is going up by 2.01%. And that's it from here, Fidelia.
Well, thank you very much, Aneta, for that update. Let's now move to the foreign scene. The Taliban militant group in Afghanistan has quit talks with the government on a prisoner swap after accusing Kabul of delaying the exchange. A spokesperson for the Taliban's office in Qatar, Suhail Shaheen, announced on Twitter that the technical Taliban team would not take part in what he described as fruitless meetings. The prisoner exchange is part of an agreement reached between the U.S. and the militant group in February, with hopes for a complete withdrawal of U.S. forces from Afghanistan. The Afghan government was not a party to the negotiations or the deal, but it has agreed to free the Taliban prisoners. And in sport, U.S. prosecutors have indicted former FIFA executives for bribes in return for voting for Russia and Qatar to host the 2022 World Cup. The FBI's new indictment was revealed in the U.S. District Court on Monday. The document claims several former FIFA Executive Committee members were, quote, were offered or received bribes in connection with their votes, end of quote. The Department of Justice makes allegations against Nicolas Leos, the former president of South American governing body CONMEBOL, and ex-Brazil Federation Supremo, Ricardo Teixeira. And that's it on News Now. Many thanks for joining us. I am Fidelia Aguncha. Bye for now.